In the last lectures, I discussed USCI models in URT mode and SPI mode. Today I am going to discuss I2C mode. So in I2C mode, how the USCI model behaves as I2C mode, how can you configure it? These things we will see today. So now, all of you know the block diagrams of USCI models. So you can keep remember that and you can try to proceed further. Now in USCI operations in I2C mode, so I2C modes, see someone is telling I2C mode, someone is I2C mode, both are same. Okay, so I2C mode supports any master or slave I2C compatible devices. A specification version 2.1. Before 2.1 it is not supported, after 2.1 it is supported. So either it will work as a masters or it will work as slaves. So now each I2C device is recognized by a unique address and can operate as either as a transmitter or receiver, as well as either the master or the slave. It means that it is recognized either as a transmitter or receivers, either on a master or a slave. These four modes are there. Later stage we can see that in these four modes. So in these four modes it will behave anyone. A master initiates the data transfer and generates the clock signal. The master is responsible for transferring the data and generating the signals SCL, that is called serial clock. There are two things are there, serial clocks and serial data. So any device addressed by master is considered as slave. So master is addressing someone, that is called slave, that is some other device. Communication using the bidirectional serial data and serial clock pins. There are two pins, that is called SDA pins and SCL pins, that is serial data and serial clock pins. With the help of these pins you can connect the devices. Now you can see the USCI models in I2C mode block diagrams. In block diagram, one is I2C state machines are there. Okay. So now in this block diagrams, there is a wide variety of clock is available. That is called UC1 clock, A clock, SM clock. Same clock is available for the in USCI models. Bit clock generators both are available in USCI models. So we are not going to disturb anything. Just we are using the part of USCI models. So I2C is living at USCI underscore B models. Since USCI models is divided into blocks USCI A and USCI B. So I2C mode is working for USCI B. So bit clock generator is it will generate the clocks. Now come to the point. This is the serial data lines and this is the serial clock lines. When clock pulse is activated, what will happen? This transmit shift registers. Whatever the transmitter buffer, in transmitter buffer there is a window. Transmitter buffer in a there is a data where you can transmit the data to the receiver part with the serial data line. So at that time when serial data line is active, this transmitter buffer data will transmit to the receiver part and it is having data in receive buffer. Now one is slave address, another is on address. On address is called as master address and slave address is called for the system which is interfacing with the with this I2C interface. So now come to the USCI operation in I2C mode. So first is initialize using the sequence given earlier. The way of initialization is same as in SPI mode. So that's why it's written there, initialize using the sequence given earlier. Now I2C serial data. So I2C serial data, one clock pulse is generated by the master for each data bit transferred. For 1 bit transfer of data, you have to generate one clock pulse by the masters. It operates with white data MSB transferred first. See that in both the cases, SPI or UART mode, you have an option either to send the data LSB first or MSB first. But in this case, in I2C mode, you don't have any options. The MSB will be transferred first and then LSB. So the first byte after a start condition consists of a 7-bit slave address and read-write bit. Total 8 bits are there. In the previous mode also, you have options for selecting 7-bit or 8-bit data. So in this case, 7-bit data is there. 1 bit is kept for the read-write purpose. So read-write equal to 0. It means that master transmits data to a slave. And read-write equal to 1. It means that master receives data from slave. So 1 bit defines the read-write value in that either master transmits the data or master receives the data. So whenever master transmits the data, it transmits to the slave. Whenever the master receives the data, it receives from the slave. One is ACK bit. The ACK bit is sent from the receiver after each byte on the 9th SCL clock. See, 7-bit is data, 1 bit is read-write, so this is 8 bit. 1/9 bit is ACK bit, that is called acknowledgement bit. So acknowledgement bit means it will acknowledge the processor that the data will be transferred. So next come to the I2C addressing modes. It is 7-bit addressing modes or 10-bit addressing modes. It have two options. I already told that there are 4 modes of ITC models. 4 modes of ITC models. First one is master transmitter, master receiver. Second one is slave transmitter and slave receiver. So in these 4 modes, I2C will work. You with the help of control registers, you can configure in these modes. Arbitration procedure is invoked if 2 or more master transmitters simultaneously start a transmission on the bus. Now let us consider there are more than one master. There are more than one masters are there, and if 2 or more masters transmitting data simultaneously, then what will happen? At a time, any one master can transfer the data. So in these situations, it is called arbitration procedure is invoked. So you are not able to transfer the data, so you have to allow one by one of any masters to transmit the data on the serial data lines. Now I2C clock generation and synchronizations. SCL serial clock is provided by the master on the I2C bus. Master mode, bit clock is provided by the USC bit clock generator. Slave mode, the bit clock generator is not used. In master mode, bit clock generator is used and serial clock is provided by the master line on the I2C bus. So the bit clock generator is not used. In slave mode, the bit clock generator is not used. Now come to the interrupts. So basically what happened, there are 4 types of interrupts are used. We will discuss later. First you will see that there are 2 interrupts. One is for transmission and another for is the reception. So one interrupt vector of transmission and one interrupt vector for reception. So what is the interrupt? Interrupt is the disturbance. Then what is the interrupt vector? See, for any interrupt, the interrupt will be stored in a memory location. That memory location is called interrupt vector. Now I2C transmit interrupt operational. So first I will see the I2C transmit interrupt operation and then I2C receive interrupt operation. It means that the interrupt will occur on transmitter end also or receiver end also. Correct? So when it will occur at transmitter end, what will happen? UCX TX IFG interrupt flag is set. When interrupt is coming, UCX TX IFG interrupt flag is set by the transmitter to indicate that UCBX TX buffer is ready to accept another character. Whenever the interrupts are coming, the UCBX TX buffer is ready to accept another character. See, if UCBX TX buffer, let us consider this buffer is filled and you transfer the data from this buffer. Then how processor knows that this is a vacant? For that purpose, this interrupt will use. So if this interrupt will occur, it means that it will be ready for the accepting data, means it is vacating. So now an interrupt request is also generated if UCX, TXI and GI are set. So by this way, you can set the bit UCX, TXI and GI bit so that one interrupt request is generated. Now UCX, TIXFG is automatically reset. Here this flag is set. Then after some while, when this work is over, you have to reset it. But it is automatically reset if a character is written to UCX TX buffer or NAC is received. Okay, so no acknowledgement is received. Yeah, this will reset either 2 ways. Either you can write something in UCBX TX buffer or you can send a signal NAC to the processor. So now same thing you can come for the receiver end. So this is I2C receive interrupt operation. In the case of receiver, this is indicating that RX always. Remember, rest of the things are same. So UCX RX IFG interrupt flag is set each time a character is received and loaded to UCX buffer. In the case of transmitter, the UCX TX buffer is ready for accept a character, but in the case of receiver, UCX RX buffer is loaded, is writable. Whenever it will be writable, then it will send a interrupt flag is generated. Now an interrupt request is also generated if UCX RIXC and GI are set. If both bits are set, then interrupt request is generated. UCX RIXFG and UCX RXI are reset by system reset or SWRST equal to 1. So SWRST bit is available in control registers, UCSI control registers. With the help of SWRST bit, you can reset these 2 signals. Otherwise, you can system reset with the help of system reset signals. See, every system has a reset signals. Every system has a reset button. Every system has a restart button. So what is the meaning of reset? If you are pushing the reset button, what happens? So when you apply a reset button, the system will try to start from the origin. It means that, let us any embedded system is resetting, it means that it will execute the program again from the starting address 000 locations. So in this way you can reset the signal UCX RXIFG and UCX RXIE. Now UCX RXIFG is automatically reset when UCX RX buffer is read. Now it is concerned that in this case UCX RXGF is set, it means that UCX RX buffer is loaded. When it is read, then it is automatically reset. Now you can see that how with the flow chart how the operation transmit or receive interrupt operation will occur. Now this is the transmitter interrupt service routine. When service routine interrupt service routine is executed at the transmitter end, what will happen? The UCSCI A block TXIFG flag is generated. If it is generated, if it is yes, if it is fine, the flag is generated, it means that UCIA model TXISR write TX buffer. So you have to write the TX buffer value and then return. Let us consider the TXIFG is not generated, then go for the check for the I2C RXIFG. If it is yes, then I2C RXISR is executed and then it is returned. Otherwise, it is no, then again it will check with the I2C TXIFG. If I2C TXIFG yes, then I2C TXISR. Then return. If no, then return. It means that if any interrupt will occur, either transmitter in or receiver in, what will happen? The transmit, if it will occur in the transmitter in, TXISR is executed, otherwise RX ISR executed. So there are two options. With the help of two options, you can, the interrupt will execute. Now there are four types of state change interrupt flag is there. So whenever something happen, how the processor knows? So processor knows with the help of flags what's happening inside. So there are four types. First being arbitration lost, that is UCALIFG. Second one is not acknowledged interrupt, UCNACKIFG. Third one is start condition detected interrupt, UCSTTIFG. Next one is stop condition detected interrupt, UCSTPIFG. So now these four interrupts is used when the state is changed. So now see one by one. So first is arbitration lost, UCLIFG. So these are four flags. Now this flag is set when two or more transmitters start a transmission simultaneously or operates as a master but it is addressed as a slave by another master. Sorry. You can see that in the flag UCALIFG flag is set when two or more transmitters start a transmission simultaneously. If one master or one transmitter send the data, there is no problem. If there are two transmitters send the data simultaneously on a single SDA lines, what will happen? SDA line will not allow both for sending these two data at the same time. So in this way, one flag is generated UCLIFG so that processor knows that we have to transfer the data from two transmitters. So in this case, first it will allow from one transmitter, then it will allow from the second transmitters. So now next flag is not acknowledged interrupt. That is UCNACKIFG. UC used for USCI models. NACK no acknowledgement, not acknowledged, IFG interrupt flag. So this flag is set when an acknowledge is expected but it is not received. Latest system information is there. Key you have to transfer the data, but at that location data is not available. In this case, this flag is generated. So now next is start condition detected interrupt. That is UCSTTIFG. This flag is set when the I2C model detects a start condition together with its own address while in slave mode. So this interrupt is generated when it is in slave mode, and it will detect as a start conditions. So next is stop condition detected interrupts. UCSTPIFG flag are set when I2C model detects a stop condition while in slave mode. So this UCSTTIFG is used for the start condition, and UCSTAPIFG is the using for the stop condition while in slave modes. You can remember just 2 points. So now come to the flow diagrams. You can try to understand what is the step change, their use of 4 interrupts. Like see, this is RxISR, receiver interrupt service routine. So it will be USCIA model RxIFG generated. If RxIFG is generated, yes, it will allow the USCIA block RxISR generated reading the Rx buffer return. Next, if it is not generated, it means that arbitration lost. So in this case, arbitration lost flag is generated, interrupt is generated. In this case, if it is fine, if arbitration lost is there, then it is work in slave mode or I2C reset. Then return. Otherwise, it generates the no acknowledged flag. So NACK FIAG not acknowledgement interrupt flag, it is generated. If it is generated, it means that data lost or you have to retry. If it is not generated, then you have to start the I2C. Now if you have the start the ATC, if it starts, what will happen? It will work on slave mode. If it is not start, it means that I2C stop. So I2C stop means data is received and then return. Same way happening into the transmitter end. See that the heading is written there. That is for the reverse process. You can just interchange this step. This is I2C for Rx. This is TX. So now for the same way, you go for the transmitters. This is the transmitter interrupt service routine. USCISC with TXIFG generated. If TXIFG is generated, USCI block write TX buffer. If it is not generated, then check for the I2C RxISR. If it is yes, then execute the I2C RxISR. Otherwise, you can go for the I2C TXIFG. If it is yes, then execute I2C TXISR. Otherwise, return. So in this way, this state change interrupts will generating the different flags so that processor will know that what's happening. So now if you are able to write the programs, how can you write the programs for the different modes? So today we will see the one programs. First, see in the MSP 430 whenever you will write the programs, the program is written in Code Composer Studio software. In Code Composer Studio, CCS, that is called CCS. So some steps are there. Step 1 is configure watchdog timers. Step 2 is configure port 3 specific pins to work as a UART. Set clock source for BR's clock. Configure baud rate for USCI model for UART. Set modulations by configuring modulation control. UCX, MSTL, MCTL depending upon UCSO 16-bit. Enable TX interrupt for USCIX model. Enable low power mode LPM1 with interrupt enable. Now you can see that whenever you will write the programs for MSC 430, first you have to configure the watchdog timers. I already told you that what is watchdog timers. So watchdog timers, without permission of watchdog timers, you can't do anything in the programs. Means you will not change anything. So watchdog timer is important in this case. Without dog permission, you are not allowing entering in the house. That's why जिस तरह से कुत्ते का काम है, सेम तरीके से watchdog का काम है. First you have to disable the watchdog timer, then you will able to write the programs. So one examples are there for how can you write the programs. I told you, and another is for service routine. If you want to use in UART mode, if you want to use in SPI mode, you want to use in I2C mode, then you have to use the ISR routine. So how can you write the ISR routine? This is also important. So in the case of ISR routine, initialize the interrupt address or interrupt vector address. First is write ISR related to the UART interrupts. The role is to monitor the interrupt flag IFG2 and transmit buffer flag UC8 TXIFG and put you have to write the interrupt vector address, then you have to write the ISR for the UART interrupts. So for the UART interrupts, the role is monitor to interrupt flag IFG2 and transmit buffer flag UCX TR0. Whenever the UCX TX0 is empty, then you have to put data on that with the help of UCTX IFG flags. Now we can discuss that programs. How can you write? As example, I'm showing that. So try to understand. Little bit difficult, but if you understand, it will feel easy. So now the first is the program is written in CCS software. CCS software. So first, this is the header file. Include MSP430h.h. This is the header file. Int main void, all of you know. Now you can see that the first line itself, it is the WDTCTL. It means that watchdog timer control. WDTCTL means watchdog timer control. If the watchdog timer control is there, it means you have to watchdog timer control, watchdog timer PW password plus watchdog timer hold. What is the use? Watchdog timer hold means watchdog timer stop the watchdog timer. But what the meaning of watchdog timer password? So whenever you are, let us consider if you are going to put money in the ATM machine, what will happen? You are opening the rack and you are putting the notes in the empty rack, correct? Let us consider you have to change that rack, which is 100 rupees notes, into 200 rupees notes. What you will do? For that purpose, you have to change in the programs. For the changing in programs, you are not able to change without password. So for every watchdog timer, one password is fixed. So same way, MSC 430, one password is there. So WTT password, whenever you want to use as a read conditions, the password is 69. If you able to write, edit the program, then you have to type the password 5A. So there are 69 for the reading. There are 5A password for the writing. If you want to change the anything in the programs, you have to write password 5A. Otherwise, you can't able to do that. Okay. So now next come to the next line, port select. This is P3SCL. It means that this is selecting the port 3. This is the OR operation equal to bit 3 plus bit 4. Means port 3 is selected. Port 3, so bit 3 of port 3. It means that 3.3. So P port 3.3 and port 3.4 is selected. Why it is selected? Since these ports are fixed for transmitter and receiver. When you will go to the lab, you will check that this pin inside, besides this pin, it is written there TXD and RSD. So now next is for USCI models, we have first with the help of UCA control registers. We are doing that. We are configuring the control registers. For configuring the control registers, we are using UCSWRST. So UCSWRST means it is software reset enable. So software reset enable means when you will put the 1, it means that you resetted the system. First you have to reset the systems. Now UCA 0 CTL1, it means that UCS select 2. This is used for providing the clock. If you want to provide the SM clock, see there are 4 varieties of clocks are available: SM clock, A clock and external clock. So for UCS selected _2, it means that SM clock. If it is _1, it means that A clock, or if it is _0, it means that any external clock. So in this way, we can select that which type of clock you have to provide, which type of clock you have to choose it. So now come to the UCA 0BR0 and UCA 0BR1. See that this is called UCA baud rate fixing. You have to fix the baud rate. For baud rate fixing, for selecting baud rate, what you have to do is, I will show you. I will show you one photograph. You can see. I think it's visible. See that there are 2-3 things are there. First is BR clock frequency. This sector is of frequencies. Second one is baud rate. Third one is UCB RX. Fourth one is UCB RSX. And third one is UCB RFX. So this UCBR, we are using that here in that program. UCA BR0 is when the UCBR0 different value of UCBR0, the corresponding baud rate will be different. So in my program, we are choosing the 9. 9 is that for correspondingly 9, 11,000, 15,200 baud rate. So this is the baud rate for correspondingly 1 megahertz frequency. See that 1 megahertz BR clock. So here that's why it is written there UCBA 09. It means that UCBA 09, it means that it is used for 1,15,200. This value is given in a user guide. What is user guide? For every board, one user guide is there. In user guide, with the help of user guide, you will able to understand the properties of board, whatever is inside in the board. Since after board you can see only pins, there is no connections. So without knowing the connection, you can't use the boards. So for this purpose, you can use this with. Now come to the UCA M6ETL. This is used for the modulation purpose. Okay. So now again here I am setting the UC SWRST bit. Here I am resetting the WRST bit, and then correspondingly I am enabling the A0 RX interrupts with the help of UC RX IE interrupts. Now since we are using in low power modes, so we are entering the low power modes, so it is written there bit set status registers low power mode 0 bits plus GI. If both the bits are enabled in status registers and no operations for debugger, you can check that any errors are there or not. So this is the body of programs. Now for every transmitters or receivers, you have to write an interrupt service routine. So interrupt service routine will tell that when you have to transfer the data. So now interrupt service routine is written by pragma vectors, USCI A0 vectors. This is the default statement. You have to write it. Now interrupt void USCI 0 ISR void. So we are going to write ISR. So it is switch even in range UCS0 IB4. Means it will transfer the 4 bit. Now case 0 it is break. Case 2 it is vector 0 no interrupt. Agar if in there is no interrupt, then it is use case 0. If vector 2 RXIFG, if RXIFG interrupts occur, we will use case 2. Now in case 2 what will happen? While UCA0 IFG and UCTX IFG, it indicates that UCI A0 TX buffer is ready. If TX buffer is ready, it means that you can send this TX value to the RX value. So UCA A0 TX buffer equal to UCA0 RX buffer. Is it correct? Case 4, break default break. So in case 4, TX IFG generated. So in for the vector this case 4, we are using that this 4 value 0 to 34. 0 to 4. So in this way you can able to write the program. If you will see 2 or thrice programs, then you are able to understand how you can write the programs in different modes, either UART modes or SPI mode or ITC mode. So this is all about Unit 4 serial communication topics. In the next class we will discuss there are 2 or 3 programs for the transmitter serial communications, and then it is 4th unit is over. Thank you.